Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here today. My name is John Fitzgerald, and I'm part of the product marketing team here at EMS Software. Today we're going to be covering a webinar about the June release of EMS Software. Joining me here today is Akshay Mahajan, who's part of our product management team, and Billy Hawkins, one of our solutions consultants. Just a few quick moments of housekeeping items. First of all, the attendees lines are muted, so you're in listen-only mode. But if you do have any questions about the content that we're delivering today, please use the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar control panel. The recordings of this webinar will be emailed to the attendees on Friday, June 17th, along with a couple of other things that we'll be talking about throughout today's presentation. Our agenda is as follows. We're going to first talk a little bit about the changing nature of work and really about what drove us to make some changes here into this release of EMS software. We're going to introduce the June release, and we're going to highlight 3 key features that are part of the updates to the software. We'll then talk a little bit about technical specifications, including some changes to existing products or existing supported products inside of the offering, as well as some upgrade considerations that you'll need to keep in mind as you look to move to this new release. We also have a great special offer for EMS Live that we'll talk about, and then, as I said before, we'll answer as many as we can today on the call. So to begin, I want to talk just a little bit briefly about why we made some of these changes, and it's really focused on the everyday user. Everyday users really just want to find spaces to get work done, because the way that we work and the way that we learn as students, as employees, has really changed over the last handful of years. And as a result, organizations are really starting to reinvent the spaces that they provide for their users to work in and to learn in. And these everyday users really just need the quickest and easiest way to be able to book that space that they need to work in, that they need to learn in, or they need to collaborate in. And that's the focus of this release, getting the right space faster. As we were putting together this release, here's really what we heard from you, our customers. The first thing that we heard was that really your end users were having a large time, a challenge to find the right space to meet. It was an unproductive process. It was almost taking longer to find a place to meet than it was actually for the meeting that they were looking to have. They know the room that they want. They just want to be able to book it quickly. And you'll see in today's demonstrations how we can now enable everyday users to do this. It was difficult to find that space, and it was challenging to be able to do that on the go. They wanted to be able from their smartphone to quickly find where they want to work. Maybe they're riding the train in to work or taking the bus into campus, but they wanted to do that quickly and on the go. We also wanted to enable them to be able to book, check in, and cancel or end their bookings via their mobile devices so that we could be able to better track how space is being used. And then finally, what we were hearing from you as our customers was that Outlook was good for scheduling time and people, but it was falling short when you got into more complex reservations, especially with recurring meetings. And as you see in the demonstration a little bit later, we have some great functionality there around that. Here in 2016, we've had 2 major releases. In January, we had our release that was focused around our expert users, meeting planners, event planners, and we provided great functionality to give them the greatest depth and breadth of functionality they needed to do their expert user jobs. Here in the June 2016 release, our focus has really been around the everyday user, that user who just wants to book a space. They want to find a place to meet. They want a place to work with their colleagues. And our focus has really been around improving that user experience for the everyday user. Here in this release, there's a number of new features that were included in the June release. Today, we're going to highlight 3 select features that we wanted to show you in our demonstration, as well as talk to you a little bit about what they do. The 3 key features we'll be discussing today is first, a new mobile application. This helps enable on-the-go access for everyday users to book the spaces that they want to work in, as well as to check into those spaces and end the reservation. We'll go into some great detail about that as we go through the presentation. The second thing that we wanted to cover was our updates to EMS for Outlook. I kind of put this line in here about Outlook but better, but what you'll see in the demonstration and you'll hear about with the product, our Outlook integration capabilities provide really a great way to get Outlook has today when users want to book meetings, especially recurring meetings. And then finally, we'll be talking about our new web application, a great way to give everyday users a quick way through a web browser to find a space to work in, as well as to book that space. We're able to see all of their meetings on a single pane of glass inside of the web browser, and you'll see a great demo of this a little bit later. So to begin, let's talk a little bit about our new mobile application. On-the-go scheduling with mobile. When we put together the new mobile application, we focused it really around three core areas. We wanted to make sure it was simple, it was insightful, and it was secure. On the simple side of the house, we wanted to enable those everyday users who just wanted to quickly find a place to work. So it's a very elegant user interface that's designed really focused around the end user. They can schedule their meetings, their rooms, their workspaces, and find those places and be able to check into those places. Speaking of checking in, the second goal of the mobile application was to help provide better insight about how your spaces were being used. This helps keep inventory up to date, but it also tracks how the spaces are being used, so you can have utilization statistics to understand better about how your spaces are used. It's also there to enforce your business rules to make sure that end users are being able to, or conforming to your business rules about how to use those spaces. And then finally, around the authentication side of the house, we've designed it so that it's a secure way of being able to book spaces. And users have to provide a username and password, and we'll talk about some of the additional security features on the next slide. So this is a screenshot here of the mobile app, and we'll see a demo of it in a moment. And it's really focused on everyday users who want to be able to book unmanaged spaces. They can use the application to search and find for the space that they want to work in. They can set up favorites so they can pick and choose from the workplaces that they like to work in. And when they get to that space, they can check it in by swiping on the app or scanning a QR code. The QR code would be hung or placed in the space that they were going to work in, and it's something that's generated by EMS software for you to put in that space for your end users to be able to check in. Check-in also supports geofencing, so you can control how soon somebody can check into the space by the time they get to your building. You don't want somebody sitting at home before they get into their commute to check into their workspace if they still have an hour drive ahead of them. As I mentioned before, it's authentication is built into the application. It'll work with your Active Directory server or your LDAP server. And there's support for two-factor authentication for those more secure spaces that you might have. It works with Google Authenticator to be able to provide a one-time password to be able to ensure a secure login into the mobile application. The app itself is going to be available on Apple and Android devices and can be deployed through the public application store, the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and it also can be supported inside of your environment if you have a MDM solution like Mobile Iron or something like that, so you can have a private application store deployment of the mobile application. And with that, what I'd love to do is turn it over to Akshay, who's now going to give us a demonstration of the mobile app and show how an everyday user can use the app to be able to book their space. Akshay?
Thanks a lot for that, John. I'm going to give you a quick tour of our new mobile app. We here at EMS are very excited about this new mobile app. What I'm sharing with you is my phone here through an application called Reflector. And what I have on my phone is the EMS mobile app. When I, as a user, launch this app, the first thing that I see as an everyday user is the various spaces that I have booked for myself or my attendees and look at them at one glance. The key functionality for the mobile app is the ability for it to be working when you are on the go. So I'm going to show you a few use cases here using the mobile app. These are not all the use cases that you can do, but these are some of the key use cases that will highlight a few functionalities within this new mobile app. The first that I'm going to show you is a scenario where I am on the go, I'm walking, and I want to have a meeting with two of my colleagues, and I want to find a space for that. So in order to do that, we have an option of adding a room by clicking on the plus sign. I want to book a meeting room, and as I said, I want to do it for let's say I want to meet at 3 p.m. So I want to meet from 3 to 5, and I want to meet in the Denver main office. Now, the app has GPS capabilities built into it. So the reason why the Denver main office was selected as a building for me is because that's where I am right now. And the app does a comparison of the current location of the user from the mobile with the latitude and longitude that has been configured with the building itself. As I look for the room, I tap on Find a Room. The app first shows me my favorite rooms and then all of the rooms that are available. I can narrow down this search by simply typing in the room, and as I type, my search keeps getting shorter depending upon that. When I select on the 31A, that's a room that I want to use. I can also invite attendees from here, so I tap on search and attendees. Now, I'm typing Alex here. Alex, I work with Alex, and what the system is doing right now is it is searching on my exchange and finding all Alex there. And there's two Alex, Alex Griffiths and Alex Kras. The green tick mark indicates the availability of the people. I know that I want to meet Alex Griffiths. I know he has another meeting at this time, but as Outlook will let me do it, and I'm going to go ahead and ask him to attend my meeting instead. After selecting the time, the room, and the attendee that I want to invite, all I need to do is hit create reservation. As I hit this create reservation, the system is going to take all this information and create a reservation for me and take me back to my home screen and show me the reservation. So that's a quick and easy way for me to be able to create the reservation on the go and book the spaces. People, as they create these bookings on the go and they're able to get to the room that they want to use, the expert users have a question, which is, are my spaces getting utilized adequately? And in order to measure that, we have a functionality called check-in. With mobile app, this check-in functionality becomes even to use. So this meeting room that I booked for 3 o'clock, when I go to the room and when the time comes right, I can just swipe on that booking, and this gives me options to do various things. I can cancel the meeting, I can look at the details, or I can just check in. When I click on the check-in, I just get checked in and I'm given a notification that way. So this makes it easier for the everyday users to be able to check into these bookings, and hence gives you more accurate data in terms of how the rooms are being utilized and whether they have been utilized when they are booking these rooms. So that's the first use case that I wanted to show, which is on the go and being able to book a meeting room. The second use case that I want to show you is an example where I want people to be able to have an easier way to book a room, not just by typing that room, but having a QR code. In this release, we are adding a capability where you can have QR codes printed from the system that you can attach to these spaces. So these QR codes are right in that space. I, as a user, as I'm walking past and I'm in the Innovation Lab 2, and I want to use that Innovation Lab 2. All I need to do is I need to go to a function called scan QR code on my mobile app. And I'm going to scan this QR code that is on the room. As I scan that QR code, the system is trying to determine whether this room is available right now or not. If this room is going to create a booking for me and intimate me about the booking that got created. If I had already reserved this room, I will get checked into this room as well. So this QR code action is acting in a multiple ways. It is acting as an ability to create a booking or check in a booking. For some reason, if the room is not available, I will be presented with the schedule view of that room so that I can book the next available that is available for that room as well. So this scan a QR code function is a quick, easy way for the users to be able to book the room that they are in without having to go through multiple steps. With that two use cases, I'm going to pass it back to John for the next steps.
Perfect. Thank you, Akshay. And click on this. Taking a look here at the demo of the mobile application. Now we're going to take a look at the enhancements that we've added for Microsoft Outlook for the EMS for Microsoft Outlook product. Let's face it, most of us who use Outlook have it open just about all day long. It's great for being able to communicate with colleagues as well as being able to plan your schedule and kind of figure out where you need to be. But one of the big challenges that happens with Outlook, and I think we've probably all experienced this, is what happens if you have a meeting where you'd like to have a daily meeting, but there's a conflict sometime down the road. Well, your alternatives are maybe to create 2 different meeting invites. Perhaps you might need to call one of your colleagues to see if they can move to another room. It all just becomes more effort than you really need to be able to book a space. With our updates here to EMS for Outlook, we're really creating a streamlined scheduling process for everyday users. It's an updated user experience, and it really helps enable end users to be able to book and change basic meetings. As you'll see in the demonstration before, if for some reason, let's say you have a daily meeting that you would like to have at the same time every day in the same room, if there's a conflict, it'll actually recommend alternative spaces to move into or to use. These are all based upon it's also based upon your business rules that have been set up in the web process templates. It's really applicable for the unmanaged space use case where no approvals are necessary, and it does support reservations with service orders, your user-defined fields, billing information, and so on and so forth. And so with that, what we're going to do is we're going to have Akshay is going to show you a demonstration here of EMS for Outlook and how it really helps the everyday user find the right space to work. Akshay?
Thanks for that, John. I'm going to switch over to my Outlook. As John mentioned, Outlook is a central tool where a lot of people manage their calendar. Booking a room and managing your own calendar goes hand in hand in many ways. So what I'm going to show you in the next couple of minutes is a use case which is about booking reoccurring meetings. In this example, I am a project manager who is trying to get multiple people together on daily basis for the week of July 25th because a project deadline is the 30th, and I want to make sure that we meet every day and have a status update on that. I want to meet with them in person so that we can talk about what we did yesterday and what are we going to do tomorrow to meet our deadline. In order to do that, I, as an Outlook user, use my Outlook in my own way, which is I select the time that I'm looking for, I right-click, and I say create a recurring meeting. I'm going to say this is going to be daily for all of the weekdays and for the next 5 occurrences because I want to do it for the whole week. I'm going to invite Alex and the meeting. This is our daily project check-in. At the top, you see an option called Book a Space. This is the menu that has been added by EMS for Outlook plugin. When I select Book a Space, I get multiple options, and as I'm looking to book a meeting room, I select that option. When I select that option, what the system does is it takes all the information that I've already provided to Outlook and passes it over to EMS and shows me a quick view of all the rooms that are available for me to book. Now, you remember that I asked for 5 days that were when I wanted these rooms for. Now here in this example, the system is telling me that the 31A meeting room has 1 conflict. What that indicates is that this room is available for all the days but 1 day. Where we sit is very close to 31A meeting room, and this is the room that we prefer. So I know that it's not available all the days, but I still am going to reserve that room. When I do that, the system is intelligent enough to know that 1 day that the room is not available, and it is going to give me a prompt of for that 1 day to pick an additional room. And in this case, it's telling me that the meeting room 3.341 is available for that 1 day, and I'm going to pick that room now. I'm going to click Save and Close and click on Send. Now, by doing these steps, what I right now did is I was able to pick 2 different rooms for those 5 days that I'm looking for. And without having to know what that 1 day that room is not available, I was able to find another room that is available for that 1 room. Now my next challenge is going to be communicating this information to me as well as my attendees. The great thing with EMS for Outlook and the Outlook integration is that you don't have to remember that. That same information is populated into the location field for every single booking that was created. So if I go into Monday, I would notice that 31A meeting room is booked from 11 to 12 for me, And if I were to look at on Wednesday, I would notice that the room 3.341 is what I have reserved for that day. So this gives me an easy way to know where I need to go for that day without having to have a long string of emails to be written about which room, on what day I need to go to what room. So this was a quick overview of the use case of trying to book a recurring booking across multiple rooms through few clicks. Now, if any of you have tried this, doing this in Outlook, the number of steps that you have to take in order to achieve this is very high. We have invested a lot on our usability and trying to make this process quick for people. This is not the only use case that we support with Outlook. There are other examples as well, but this was one big example that I wanted to highlight and show it to you guys. With that, I'm going to pass it over to John for the next session.
Thank you, Akshay. Go. Next thing we're going to talk about is the new web application. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions at all, please put them into the questions here on the right-hand side, and we'll get to as many of them as possible as we go through today's presentation. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is our new web application, which is one of many new features that's in the product. We just wanted to highlight these three here today. But this is really a complete redesigned web application to help deliver streamlined scheduling. As you can see here on the right-hand side, it's a very elegant user interface that's really designed to be intuitive for end users to be able to go in, find the space that they want to work in, and be able to manage those reservations. Users have a single view of all the meetings on a single screen, so they're able to see where they need to be and what meetings they have come up. In addition to it being supported on a desktop computer or a laptop computer, the UI has been designed to be mobile responsive so that it'll work on a tablet. This helps enable that everyday user that really great on-the-go ability to be able to find and book their reservations. And with that, what I'm going to do is turn it back to Akshay to give a demonstration of the web application.
Thanks a lot, John. Moving on to the third part of our June release, this is the web app, formerly known as Virtual EMS. That's the name that most of you are familiar with this application. With this release, we're changing the name to web app to make it more consistent with the other namings that we have. This web app is a redesigned experience for the users to help them book meetings quickly. In this web app, it's obviously secured and authenticated. I, as a user, when I log in, our focus in this release has been to help everyday user find the information that they need quickly and bring it in front of them. When I log into this web app, the first thing that you'll notice different here is the My Home concept. This My Home concept is a brand new concept than the standard homepage that we had before. This My Home is designed with the everyday user's content in focus. My Home is divided into three sections. If you see at the top, My Reservation Templates, this is where all the templates that have been assigned to me that I can use to book spaces is available. The next section is My Bookings, where I can quickly have a glance of all the bookings that I have. And then the last one is infographics, giving me a quick view of the various bookings that I've done over a period of time. With the My Reservation Templates, I can see the name of these templates, but the new thing that we've added here is About. When I click on About, the first thing that I notice here is the information area. This is the help desk record that is available for the template, and this is the information that any administrator can control and show to the everyday users. This is about a subjective information, like in this example, it's about the meeting room reservation usage and guidelines. The Booking Rules tab shows the objective information, which is the booking rules that have been configured for this template. Earlier, as a user, I had to earlier as an admin user, I had to take these booking rules and convert them into a text information and show them in the help text. Now, they're being dynamically pulled from the booking rules that you've created and shown to the everyday users. The My Bookings area is a great place for me to get a quick snapshot of my bookings that are there for a particular day. And today is the starting day that I have, and I can see what is going on on that day. I can go to next day and see what is there. If I don't have anything on the next day, it can take me to the very next day that I have a booking available itself. This gives me a quick way to scan through and look at all the various bookings that I've done with the system. If I go back to today, you would notice that along with showing you the booking information like the time, the title, the location where that booking is, it also has the ability to take actions on that bookings right there from that screen. And these actions are context sensitive, so depending upon what actions are available, only those are being shown to the end users here. So for example, the booking that I just made from my phone for the Workspace Innovation Lab 2 using the QR code from 2:18 to 5 has an option to check in and end now along with the cancel option, because I can check in and end now that particular meeting. For the other meetings, I can cancel or do no action depending upon them itself. And doing a check-in is very simple. All I do is I click on check-in and I've checked into that meeting. And that provides me a quick way to take actions on these meetings itself. Apart from being able to see all of these bookings that I have and take actions on them, I can also book from here. So when I click on book now for book a meeting room, the system takes me to the create booking screen. Here, let's say I want to book for tomorrow, and I want to look for the time which is 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. It quickly gives me a snapshot of my attendance and telling me when I'm available. This is pulling real time from Exchange. I can invite attendees from here as well. As I start typing, I'm able to get the results from the Exchange. So the search interface is quick and intuitive. As I select a particular attendee, those attendees keep getting added to my list, and I can not just see my availability but all of their availability as well. So it looks like 1 to 2 will work for all of us, and I can quickly look at that. Now I get two different ways to search the rooms that I'm looking for. One way is the traditional way of letting me search for a room, which is an option that I have by providing filter criteria and trying to drill down into what I'm looking for. The second option that I'm going to show you today is the option where I know what room I want. I select the Denver main office, and in this case, I want to find a meeting room. And as I type 31. 31 is my favorite room that I look for all the time, and I notice that the 31A meeting room is available for that time. That green tick mark here again indicates availability for that room for the time itself, which gives me a quick way to know whether a room is available or not. If a room will not be available, like in this example, the large meeting room, if I type large, it does not show me that this room is available. I select the 31A meeting room. The system prompts me on what kind of setup that I want to do and how many people that I want to add. I've selected this room. I can go to the reservation details and provide more information about this meeting. I can select time as, give information about the group and employee and assistants there. And also if there are any user-defined fields, billing reference, any of those that are configured, the users can provide that information as well. Once I'm done with all of that, I can hit create reservation. At this time, the system will take this information and create the reservation for me. If I go back to my home screen, for that day, that meeting is now available for me to have. This was a quick run through on creating a reservation. The last thing that I want to show you before we switch over to the next part of the presentation is the mobile responsiveness part to it. This website has been developed from grounds up using latest technologies, which is HTML5 and CSS3. What that enables is, from an end user perspective, that this page is not static and limited to the width that you're seeing here. As I resize my window, you would notice that the layout of this page completely dynamically keep adjusting itself to optimize itself for my view. I reach a point where the left menu bar is gone, and I can keep going more and more smaller, and beyond a point it won't let me go to that. But this allows this web application to be accessible not just from a desktop browser, but also from a mobile browser itself, and provide you similar functionality so that your users can access this from the mobile browser as well. John, with that, I'd like to pass it back to you for the next topic.
Great, thanks, Akshay. I'm going to click this and show my screen. One of the things that we also wanted to cover today is a little bit about some upgrade considerations that we wanted to talk about here today, just to give you a flavor of what's required for this release. So just a few things here. First of all, that you must upgrade to the June release to access these new features, the web application, the mobile application, and the Outlook integration. And if you're current on maintenance, these upgrades are included with your license. One of the things, too, that we wanted to talk about was this new web user interface, the web application. It has a lot of great branding capabilities that are built into it, which help mitigate the need for customizations inside of virtual EMS that you might have had to have done in the past. As it relates to the upgrade itself, there will be information in the documentation. We'll talk about releases in a couple of moments as to when all of that will be available. But this upgrade, it does require some planning and testing. It's a good opportunity for you to possibly reconfigure your existing environment. You'll need to review your customizations. And this is something that you can do in-house. And we'll talk a little bit about, as I said, the documentation. We have some sessions at EMS Live that are about the upgrade, to help you along with that. Or we have some professional services packages that are also available for you to use for the upgrade. Talking a little bit about those professionals. Oh, sorry, did you want to say something, Akshay?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was on mute. I'd like to reiterate on John's point about planning. This is a very big release for us. We've spent a lot of time in redoing the user experience for the Outlook as well as the web, and a brand new module called the mobile app. It's very important for everybody who's going to take up this release to make sure that you are taking this and doing testing at your end with your configurations so that you're ready to go on into this release as quickly as you can.
Thanks, Akshay. And talking a little bit here about those professional services upgrade packages, we have created with our consultants a series of different packages that are available to help you with your upgrade process. Our first package will work with you to help upgrade and validate your test environment, including the database, desktop client, and all the existing components you have inside of your environment. We will document and sort of just go through the process of documenting all of those upgrades, so you have a record of that information. And then we'll also deliver some use cases for your business users to be able to test and validate that the test environment works for their needs. We'll then come back and we'll upgrade your production environment and work with your team to ensure that the software is upgraded to the latest version. Our second package builds upon all of the capabilities in package number one, but it also gets a little deeper in providing 4 new feature review sessions that outline all of the benefits and recommendations of the new features as they're applicable to your environment. It'll also deliver 1 end-user training video or a quick reference guide that's specific to your implementation that you can deliver to your end users to help them with their scheduling needs. And then finally, our third package will come in and we'll review your existing configuration, the workflow design that you've set up, and how your business is using EMS software today, and we'll make some recommendations on how you can update and streamline your existing configuration and workflow. We'll go through this same process we do with the other packages to upgrade your software and upgrade your implementation, and we'll review the new features and create custom training materials. As it relates to licensing, the June release, current license holders of virtual VMS are entitled to the new mobile application as well as the web application. And people who are currently licensed for EMS for Outlook are entitled to the Outlook enhancements. And again, these upgrades are included with those customers who are current on their maintenance. We wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the system requirements for the upgrade. As it relates here, we just wanted to give you an idea of which modules are being updated. Just as a side note here. This version is 44.1, but don't let the .1 fool you. It is something that does require some work. The database is going to be updated, as well as the desktop client and the EMS for Outlook capabilities. As we mentioned before, we have new modules in the form of the web application and the mobile application. And there have been some enhancements to the APIs as well as all other applications. I just want to make sure that to sort of emphasize this point, major features that we wanted to talk to today about this June release, but there's a host of other features that have been updated in the product that will be discussed in the documentation and in the release notes. As it relates to the technical specifications, there are some key changes that we wanted to make sure that you were aware of as it relates to the components of the software. First of all, on the web application, with this release, we're removing support for older versions of Internet Explorer, namely 8, 9, and 10. These are ones that Microsoft has stopped support for in January of this year. On the web application, we support Internet Explorer 11, as well as their new browser, Microsoft Edge, as well as Google Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. As it relates to the mobile application, it's going to be supported on Android 4, 4, 5, and 6, as well as iOS 8 and 9. And as it relates to EMS for Outlook, we removed support for Outlook 2007, added support for Outlook 2016, and on Exchange, same there. Removed Exchange 2007, added in support Exchange 2016. Just as a note here too, the .NET version of the framework is going to be required to be upgraded to 4.6.1 for some of the components, but the full documentation of this is being covered in the technical specifications, which will be emailed to you after this presentation. General availability of this product is going to be generally available on June 30th, and you'll be able to download it from the support site, emssoftware.com/support. You'll receive an email from our support organization when the software is available to download, and the documentation will then be made available in the knowledge base when the product is generally available. If you have additional questions and things that we don't cover here, or things that are specific to your environment, and you'd like to, please contact your account manager. If you need your account manager's contact information, there's a Contact Us form on EMS Software. If you go to the website emssoftware.com, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a link to Contact, which will bring you to a form. And in that form, there's a drop-down field that has Account Manager as the type of question. You can set it to Account Manager as the type of question. Provide some information about it, and your account manager will be in touch within 2 days to help address any of the questions that you have and to get you more information about this release. Another great way of getting more information about this release is our user conference, which is coming up this September, the 12th to the 14th in Phoenix, Arizona. EMS Live is going to be held at the JW Marriott Phoenix Desert Ridge Resort and Spa, and it's a great opportunity to hear some really great keynotes, to have some best practice workshops, as well as networking opportunities for you to connect with other peers inside of your industry and from other organizations, and it's a great location. There'll be a lot of great sessions at EMS Live. We're going to have specific new feature sessions related to everything that we talked about today, a session on the Outlook integration, on EMS for Outlook rather, on the mobile application, and on the web application. Other sessions of note, and I mentioned this a little bit before, there'll be an upgrade session, so you'll learn more about the upgrade process and what it might entail for you to upgrade your existing implementation. There'll also be a lot of great hands-on experience with the June release. And we'll also have some sessions about the EMS cloud hosted solution so you can talk about how you can move your EMS solution into the cloud. As it relates also to EMS Live, all webinar attendees today who to new registrations after today will receive a $200 discount off of a new conference registration. You'll receive the discount code by June 17th, and it will expire on July 1st. So for attending today for a new registration, you can get a discount on your registration to EMS Live. We will also be doing a drawing for 5 free conference passes for people who have attended the webinars this week to be able to attend, or rather get a free conference pass for EMS Live. And with that, what we wanted to do was to then start opening it up for questions. Billy and Akshay are going to go through the questions here. Guys, you ready to do some questions?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks,
John. I appreciate that. There are a number of questions that have come in, and some of them are very similar in nature. I apologize if I hadn't been able to text back everyone. There's been about 120 questions that have come in so far, but I'll try to get some of the main ones going here and some of the duplicates. The first question that came into the panel that's been asked a lot is, will mobile templates and web-based templates be the same, or can I have different ones? And the answer is, in the web application and in the mobile application, they can share those process templates. We enable the check mark to enable mobile application to use the same templates, or you can create new templates for the mobile app specifically. And you can use a hybrid combination of those two in your web process templates. There was another question about email addresses, as far as, can I use external email addresses, or am I limited to the ones in Exchange? When you're inviting attendees and you're using the Outlook or Exchange integration portions of any of the tools, if you use an internal email address, it will attempt to automatically find that from your Exchange server to give you that list of names that Akshay showed earlier. However, you still can type in a full qualified email address, such as billyhawkins@gmail.com, in which case it will still allow the invite to occur. It simply won't show the free busy information on that. There was a question about the mobile application support and approval process, meaning, will I still be able to make approvals on requests for space in the mobile application? That is still the case. The template does acknowledge and respect your requestable and reservable space. So approvals would still occur in the same process that you're familiar with today. If you're using the dashboard in the desktop client, or you're using notifications, those will still trigger and fire off. Question about the mobile app is, how does the mobile app know if a person is available? That was shown briefly when Akshay was walking through his mobile demo, but it may not have been immediately illustrated. We put a green check mark next to people's free busy availability when somebody is searching for an attendee to let you know if those individuals are available during the time and date that you've selected in your reservation process. Akshay, if you are able to unmute, I would like to ask a couple questions.
I'm here, Billy. Go ahead.
Great. The first one is the mobile app QR code for check-in. We have an academic question surrounding that. Is there the possibility in the future or in current release that the QR code can be used for the students to individually check into classes?
Great question. Right now, our check-in functionality is limited to the host only. So it will not be available for every student to be able to perform a check-in so that you can do a count of attendance. However, this is something that we do have in our roadmap to do later, to expand our check-in functionality to include attendees as well. Unfortunately, I don't have a timeline for you right now to tell you when that will be available. So currently, you will not be able to use the check-in functionality either from QR code or otherwise to have every student check in to indicate attendance.
Great, thank you. Another question that several of our university attendees have asked is, their colleges are currently using or moving to Google Calendar and or Gmail for their email and calendaring services. Is there any intent on creating applications surrounding that capability?
Another great question. Yes, the answer to that question is currently we integrate with Microsoft Exchange and provide an integration with EMS with Microsoft Outlook. As we go forward, as a long-term roadmap plan, we do want to go and integrate with Gmail and Google Calendar. Unfortunately, I do not have a timeline for you to tell to you at this time, but it is something which is in a long-term roadmap, not in an immediate roadmap.
Great, thank you. A question regarding the EMS API and the Room Wizard. How will this release affect deployments using or leveraging the API, as well as our current release or implementation of Room Wizard signage?
As John mentioned in one of his slides, that there are some major components that have been updated in this release, but all the other minor components are also updated. So your specific example around API and Room Wizard integration, both of these components will have an updated version as well that will be compatible with the 44.1 release. So when the release is available, you will also see the API and the room visit integration for you to download and update it itself. Please do take a note of the API documentation. We have a release history section there which will indicate what has changed in this release. So for whatever integrations you're using the API, please check on the changes and ensure that if you're using any of those APIs that you account for those changes as well.
Great, thank you. What is the solution, and I know this was mentioned in previous webinars, but what is the solution options for clients who currently use the web client in the new release instead of the desktop client?
What we have seen with the web client usage, so first of all, a reminder that we stopped updating web client to the later releases starting with our January release, which was the 44.0 release. So that still continues. With 44.1 there is no web client available. The users who are on Mac who leverage web client, I'm a Mac user myself, and I use VirtualBox to run my Windows environment, to run Windows application. So the easiest way for transitioning out from web client into another way for a Mac user will be to install the desktop client if they have capability to run Windows on that Mac itself. Yes, great. Thank you, Billy.
Mm-hmm. Will delegation in the same way that we use it in Outlook today, will it work with the mobile application? Meaning, can I schedule on behalf of others?
From the mobile app, the answer is no. We do not have a option of act as within the mobile app. However, from the web app and the mobile version of the web app, you can do that. But within the mobile app, we do not have the functionality at this time to do act as.
Great. And this was answered in brief earlier in the webinar, but with mobile application, what methods of authentication are available?
So we primarily support 3 different method of authentications there. Number 1 being what is called the manual authentication, which is the EMS built-in authentication. We also support Windows authentication as well as LDAP authentication. And the last one is ability to use these authentications via a single sign-on service that is also supported.
Great. Many of our attendees have asked, it appears mostly in the academic space, that they have done a high level of customization or configuration to increase the look and feel of virtual EMS. Will CSS options be available for changing, and will I be able to, or will there be availability to change any labeling in the product itself, such as the book now or meeting details?
We do have the same function available, which is to be able to deploy custom.css in order to override the CSS functions that you require. Obviously, the same existing custom.css that you have with the previous version is not going to work as is. You would need to adapt that to the new styling and the CSS objects that we have introduced. Right. So the capability of being able to use a custom CSS is possible. Beyond that, the ability to have a homepage modification is also available. Next to the My Home button, there was an option called Site Home. That's where any of the homepage customization that you've done for the entire site will be shown to the everyday users as well. And lastly, for the button label changes, not all button labels are changeable. For example, About and Book Now are something that are not changeable with this release, whereas the other existing buttons that were available to be changed are still available.
And with the mobile application, does that include an MDM compatibility with Good?
We are packaging, as John mentioned earlier, that we are providing you an option and giving you the enterprise app deployment. In order to do that, we will be shipping the IPA and the APK files, which are unsigned. You can take those IPA and APK files and deploy them with any MDM system that can take an IP and APK, which is good as well. Good can take the IP and APK files itself and deploy that as well. So we're not doing anything specific for any MDM. We're being agnostic and packaging and giving you the things that you need to go to any MDM.
Great. And the final question regarding mobile is there any option for branding the mobile application in the future?
If you want to do branding, the best paths will be to go to and deploy via the MDM system. Because when you take the IPA and APK files through the MDM system, they provide you a capability within the system itself to say, I want to name this app XYZ, and I want to put this icon and logo to the app via the MDM system. So from a branding perspective, that would be the easiest way to do right now using the MDM system. Apart from that, changing the app name and app icon from a public app store obviously is not a possibility because that's on the public app store for everybody's consumption itself. Now, within the app itself, we're not providing any branding configurations right now, but we will open that up as we go forward in next couple of releases.
Great. The final question before I hand it back to John for final thoughts is, with regards to the QR codes associated to the room, are those capable of being displayed on any signage technology, or is it simply a printout that we put next to the room?
From our perspective, we are creating a report that you can print out and create there itself. It's a great question. I'm not sure how would you take that information and throw in a signage. Now, we could give you data in terms of what our QR codes are made of, and it's a standard QR code. So if we were to tell you this is how the QR code is built, there is quite a possibility that you can do it from any other signage as well. But that's going to require for you to understand what our QR code is made of. And the another challenge is going to be that this is not one static QR code that you use for everything. Every room will have a variation of that QR code because it has an identification of that room. We are open to providing you the information in terms of what our QR code is made of. If you know that your system or whatever the signage system is can have dynamic QR code shown based on the information that we are using, then there is no problem. But there are a lot of ifs in that statement, so something needs to be validated before you can try that.
Great, thank you, Akshay. I do want to appreciate everyone who posted questions in the chat window. I will certainly attempt to respond to all of those throughout the rest of the webinar and after. But at this point, I will hand it back to John for any final thoughts.
Great. Thank you, thank you very much, Billy, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. Again, a recording of this webinar will be emailed to you tomorrow, and those folks who have won the 5 free conference passes will be notified tomorrow, and that discount code for new registrations of EMS Live will be sent out tomorrow. Thank you all very much for joining us here today. Thank you, Akshay and Billy, for your help here on today's webinar, and thank you all very much for joining. Have a wonderful day.